Welcome back. I'm Marlene Pollock, and I'm an elected school committee official and also the vice chairperson of the New Bedford School Committee. And this is my inaugural debut for my new show, Voices for School Improvement. And I'm very happy to welcome Catherine Stillerman and Carrie DeJesus, who are two members of the design team for Esperanza School for Language and Culture. Welcome to my show.
Thank you for having us.
So I wanted to just ask you similar questions that I asked the other design team. What motivated you to start this school?
Well, motivation came from the English language learners in New Bedford and the program that they're in currently, the SEI, the Sheltered English Immersion. Right now they get bounced around to several schools within the district. They're exited too early or they're not identified at all. And so this becomes a challenge when they try to progress to other levels and they don't have a solid foundation. So a dual language immersion school would help create a solution for this problem. It would help educate them, give them a solid foundation so then they could progress and excel in school. And also, as somebody who has learned another language, I took Spanish in college, and I realized how long of a process that is. So by giving native English speakers an opportunity to learn another language and give them the chance to fully invest themselves, then they can come out bilingual and biliterate.
Yeah. Well, definitely what you're addressing is a huge problem all over the state in terms of English language learners. So you're definitely trying to meet a real need. Just a quick question about the English-speaking students. Just how do they benefit from being in this kind of arrangement?
Well, they benefit on a language level. It's probably the best environment for them to truly become bilingual and biliterate. They start at a young age. The brain is an amazing thing, as we know, and children actually have the ability to learn as many languages as you would like to teach them at early ages. It helps with cognitive development, so the brain function transferring back between one side and another and probably that opportunity, we don't have in this country the opportunity to become truly bilingual and biliterate, read, write, speak in another language.
And even think, right?
And
Probably.
even think.
I'm very jealous because I'm monolingual, and you know I do travel, and just the lack of ability. And of course, the older you get, like you said, when you're younger, you really can learn languages much easier, right? Because it's the children who learn the languages.
The other advantage is the cultural piece. It gives all of our children the opportunity to become multiculturally aware. And they're going to have to be able to do that in our global society. They have to understand how to communicate with other people from other cultures. And right now, our school systems don't really address that. And the Esperanza School will have that inherent in its curriculum, building culture.
And certainly there are other dual language schools throughout the state that are having great success, right?
Yes.
I know
throughout
I visited,
the country.
Right. I visited a couple, and they were both leaders, both administrators of the school said just how well both the Spanish-speaking and the English-speaking kids were doing. So. As I asked the other group, how do you answer the criticism that these schools will create inequality within the school system? In other words, giving these kids something that the other kids don't have.
Well, we started the school to address the inequality that is currently happening with the English language learners. They are not able to access the curriculum at the same level as their English-speaking peers. The effects are cumulative. 35% of Hispanic students graduate, so that's 65% that don't. Right. That's very disappointing and unfortunate for everyone in our community. So we're providing a model of education that benefits both the English language learners, it benefits the native English or English dominant students, but it's also been found to benefit SPED students, students with learning disabilities, African American, all minority cultures have all been successful in dual language programs over the long term. So It's true, not every student will be able to go here at first, but the dual language model can be adopted by a whole entire district, as it has been in other places in the country.
Wow.
So if it's successful, we would be right up there with, yes, we all should be dual language.
So, and as we said in the first segment, you know, these innovation schools function, I mean, I think they use the term in Boston, like pilot schools or laboratories, so that you're actually trying to develop new innovative methods and giving parents a choice. And then if these methods are successful, to really spread them
Duplicate
around.
them.
Our team, every member on our team has experience with language and culture. So it's important to all of us. We would like to see it in every school. We're not trying to separate or create inequality. We're just trying to introduce a model that could be used for all the schools in the city.
Yeah, and replicated with other language. We would like to plant the seed, and there's Portuguese and
Absolutely. Creole. And who knows what other languages
Mandarin.
are coming.
Why not?
And you can ours is dual language, which means that we have half the population, 50% Spanish, 50% English. But there's also one-way immersion. So if we wanted to have a Chinese immersion school in our city, most of the students would either come from, well, whatever languages are in the city, but they would all be learning Chinese as well as English.
That's exciting. How do you answer the criticism or the pushback that's been happening around your decision to locate at Roosevelt Middle School?
The request for proposals was very specific in that the innovation schools have to be a neighborhood school and also have to be in a building that's city-owned. So with the dual language model, we aim for a 50% population of Spanish speakers and 50% population of English speakers. We need to have that in a neighborhood that can sustain those numbers without busing. And the South End is one of those neighborhoods, one of those areas and districts in our city. Roosevelt is under capacity, and that's why between those two factors of having a city-owned building, which is Roosevelt, that's not serving its 1,200 capacity, and the fact that we need to have a neighborhood school, that was our proposed choice. It seemed to fit.
And you know, we, several years ago, the state had come down and advocated for, I believe, Taylor to move into Roosevelt because of that additional capacity.
It was the Massachusetts School Building Association,
yes.
And I believe the recommendation was to turn Roosevelt into a K-8 school. So I believe if that's the case, it might not have just been Taylor, but it might have been students from the entire peninsula, but I'm not positive on those facts. But I do know that it was suggested that an elementary school or elementary school grades be put into Roosevelt because it was so under capacity.
Right.
And I know there's been some concern about mixing elementary school children with middle school children, and we think that middle school children can serve as an example. I went through it to a K-8 school in New Bedford, and we had 8th grade buddies, and they served as mentors.
Yes, which is a very positive experience for the 8th graders, because they feel, wow, I can make a difference in this child's life. You know, I think it's great. So, in terms of offerings, like what kinds of things would you offer to students and parents? What are you thinking?
Well, for parents, we would like to have a bilingual staff, because that is one of the problems in the New Bedford public school systems right now. There are parents that want to be involved in their children's education, but they can't communicate. So by eliminating that language barrier, we'll have bilingual staff and have notices sent home so the parents can be involved and know what's going on with their children and be able to help at home, like you were mentioning before, help with homework, and then that further invests them, and then the children will succeed.
And you know, there's been schools that have been very successful in getting the parents involved, and then the parents decide, wow, maybe I could get my GED, maybe I could go to Bristol Community College or something. You know, so they as they're drawn in, they think about themselves differently as well. Any other things?
Well, part of the innovation schools are the autonomies, which are the areas that we can make decisions about, and that's district policies. part of our district policies, we have a governing board, and we also have a personnel committee to hire staff and teachers, and we have parent representatives on both our governing board and our personnel committee.
That's great.
So in that sense, parents will have a direct voice into what happens at the school.
And if both innovation schools become a reality, which we hope, then you folks are all subject to all of the accountabilities, right? The MCAS and so forth.
Yes,
you do all that.
because we are a New Bedford public school.
That's right. Now, some people have talked about the money. Where is the money going to come from to pay for this school? Would you like to address this? I didn't have a chance to talk to the other group about it. But.
It's based on a lump sum budget, so we are allocated a certain amount of funds per pupil in the school. And
The state does that for every single student, right?
Yes, but it's not the same for every district. It depends what district you're in on how much is allotted.
Okay.
They're not uniform. And part of that lump sum, it's not the entire amount that a city spends on its student, because some of the money is withdrawn for facilities fees and various fees that are embedded. But once they decide the lump sum that we're allowed to have, we then can use the money as we see fit. So New Bedford might spend a certain amount on, New Bedford Public Schools might spend a certain amount on professional development and offer A, B, and C for professional development. We might decide, well, because we're the dual language school, we have specific professional development for that model. We're going to use that money to provide a different type of professional development that will help our students achieve success.
Right, and also, I mean, one of the speakers that I heard said, for example, that as a innovation school, you would pick your own curriculum, right, and books and so forth, and you might decide to do pamphlets or internet or something that would be less. Yeah, tablets that would be less expensive than this.
Exactly. So with the autonomy of budget, we can reallocate that money to where it would best fit the needs of the child at the school.
Because you are limited, you're going to be using the same per pupil allotment that any other school does. The question is how you
rearrange the money,
and the fact that you have more say over it. So that's great. Anything else you wanted to mention or bring up that I didn't have a chance to?
I think, well, for the Esperanza School, for our students, we are planning to extend the day for them and give them more time on learning. And we've rearranged the minutes so that we can best provide that. And we're also looking into providing before school and after school opportunities, enrichment opportunities for children, homework clubs, fitness clubs, because one of the things that our parents, or the feedback that we receive from parents, is they really need before school care for their children. And if we can turn that care into an enrichment opportunity, we're working very hard to achieve that.
Because a lot of those folks go to work, right?
They go to work.
How do they get their kids? What do they do with their kids between the time they go to work and the time school starts?
And also some of our students will need extra help with homework because parents might not be able to assist them in the homework. So.
Well, I thank you so much again for all your commitment and dedication and the hard work that you have put into this, like the other team.
Thank you.
And let's hope that we'll be successful, and I look forward to visiting your new school. Thank you so much.
We look forward to having you.
We'll be having more shows with different